The most important aspect of the evolution of lean has been the adoption of the idea that behaviors are ultimately more effective than simply a set of tools. I don't just say this because I've been at the front of pushing this idea for most of my lean career, but the idea that behaviors are dynamic. They are flexible, they are adaptable to a wide range of roles and situations. And that's what makes lean behaviors so effective as a centerpiece of a lean culture. So we've seen this in the teaching and writing, we've seen this in the practice and application, that more and more behaviors have been adopted as a centerpiece of building a lean culture. One of my first experiences at understanding the power of behaviors over tools, I outlined in a chapter I wrote for the book Practicing Lean. It was early in my career and I was a materials manager, and we had implemented one of the first large-scale pull systems in the United States. But it wasn't working very well. We had line shortages and material shortages, lines down, and ultimately weren't getting very good results. I took 2 weeks to simply observe how the system was working to understand why the processes and tools were breaking down. What I learned through my observation was that it had nothing to do with the design of the system or the tools themselves, but it was the behaviors and how people used them. They violated the rules with good intentions over and over because they simply didn't understand or didn't see the connection between their behaviors and how the system was supposed to work. That experience really started to uncover for me the power of behaviors as part of a lean system, and is why I chose to write about it in the book Practicing Lean. A great example of how the power of behaviors over just tools shows up in the practice, and the very popular practice of 5S. 5S is nothing more than organizing our work environment. We get rid of what we don't need, we organize what we do need so we can find it quickly, and we make abnormalities or problems visible very early. So a great demonstration of this can be found on a tour of the prison island of Alcatraz. If you visit the kitchen in Alcatraz, you will see a board that looks like this. It's simply a shadow board with a place to hang each one of the kitchen knives used to prepare the food. Before this board was in place, the inmates who prepared the food would occasionally take one of the knives out of the kitchen and use it to do harm on another inmate. This, however, was not found until the problem already occurred. Little too late to do anything about it. Once they put up this board, they would look at the board before they would open up the gate and say, do we have everything that we need? If something was missing, they didn't let people leave until it was found. After this board was installed, they never had that problem again. And so it accomplished the benefits of 5S. But there's a big difference between implementing 5S and sustaining it. Implementing 5S is a facilitated event. It's a forced event. We take people through it and we get everything organized. But sustaining it requires the belief and the behavior to go along with it. We can audit to keep a little accountability for keeping it in place, but that's not really going to make it work compared to people believing that having a common way of organizing our work is more beneficial than me having my own preference. And so every time I have a chance of making a decision, reacting to something that's out of place, or taking the extra seconds to put it back where it belongs, or to have a conversation about how to make a change, all of that comes from that belief and that behavior of valuing a common way. If we don't get that right, 5S tends to deteriorate very, very quickly. Problem solving is a great example of how behaviors are more effective than simply focusing on tools. I don't particularly care which problem-solving methodology you choose to use, but regardless of what you do, it probably comes with a template and is very easy to focus on the practice and application of that methodology. But that's not where the real work is. The real work is in actually studying of the problem, of understanding cause and effect, of experimenting our way to the right solution. That's the real work. The template is fundamentally just a guide. Many organizations I visit, I look at their problem solving, and what I see is templates filled out after the fact. Somebody jumped to a conclusion or had a preconceived idea of what was going to work. they might have already implemented their idea. But once they do, they fill out the template after the fact. It's not really meant to be an effort to be curious about a problem, to understand cause and effect, to do experimentation. It's simply a template. And so when we get to that point, we aren't really getting the benefits of problem solving. So what would you rather see? A group of people who wrote on a whiteboard a basic A3 problem solving structure and are engaged in deep study of a particular problem? Or someone jumping to a conclusion and then having a really nicely designed A3 that they wrote out after the fact? We certainly care about the engagement. And so problem solving isn't a tool, problem solving is a behavior. And so regardless of which tool you choose, make sure you're getting the behaviors and not just filling out templates.